Hello, and thank you for watching this regional forecast for the Canadian Prairie. I'm Andrew Pritchard, meteorologist with Nutrien Ag Solutions. Well, again, we're watching a slow transition here to a much colder pattern across the Canadian Prairie. It's going to take a few days, but it does loom here as we head into the early part of next week. Continuing to watch mostly dry conditions. We have some snow falling across portions of central Alberta this morning, and that's going to slowly move from west to east across portions of the prairie. It's a very narrow band here over the next 24 hours or so, and we'll have to also watch for the chance for a little accumulating snow along a slow-moving frontal boundary as we get into early next week as well. So a couple things to talk about with precipitation here, but no real disruptive storm systems making their way through the prairie over the next 5 to 7 days. Now, as we take a look at the satellite picture here, infrared satellite, we see a very large, well-defined storm system over the southwestern United States. Seeing a little bit of moisture being brought up and wrung out over the mountains here in central Alberta. Again, if we flip over and look at the radar here early on, this would be Wednesday morning, not Tuesday anymore. We see some of that precipitation. We can zoom in even just a bit further, seeing some of that heavy snow falling. Right now looks like the heaviest of it along and south of the Edmonton area, but a very concentrated band of some heavy snow. We can look off to the northwest as well. And you can even see kind of a subtle circulation here as we see the main upper level wave moving through here in the Spirit River, Grand Prairie area. So if we take a look at the total accumulation forecast here, just taking it over the next 48 hours, again, just looking at a focused band here with the potential for some significant accumulations in a very narrow area here, getting 5 to 10 centimeters of snow, but broadly speaking, looking like a light coating here in a corridor maybe 100 miles wide or so. Now, looking out a bit further, I'll show you the next storm system that we will be watching here. If I just go ahead and bring the GFS model back, watching this first wave move through, bringing the snow over the next 24 to 48 hours. Quiet conditions then as we head through the day on Thursday. And then as we get into Friday morning, we'll start to see some snow in high elevation areas of western Alberta. It's as we get into Saturday night into Sunday, then we see that frontal boundary move through, and that is what delivers just the chance of some light snow here across the prairie. I'll show you some of the forecast accumulation amounts here from our ensemble models. Again, not great agreement here, although, you know, the more that I kind of look at it, it's not so bad here. We're talking about 4 to 6 centimeters of snow here with the European model here, generally along and south of Highway 16. If you look at the GFS ensemble, it's maybe a little bit lighter on the 2 to 4 or 2 to 3 centimeter threshold, and then the Canadian ensemble here in that 4 or 5 centimeter threshold as well. So generally talking light here, less than 5 centimeters of snow over the next week, that including the storm system over the weekend. Now, as we talk about the upper level pattern heading through the next 10 days or so, again, we're going to watch a trough begin to dig in. We've got a ridge right now. That's what's allowing for at least seasonally appropriate temperatures across the region. But here it is as we get into the weekend. You're starting to see this trough begin to dig, and it really amplifies as it gets into portions of central Canada and the northern plains, the upper Midwest here. This brings in some much cooler weather as we get into early next week. And then it's possible, as I just take this into the early part of next week, we could see another trough digging in. Now, this is just one run here, one solution, and we've seen run-to-run uncertainties as we get out beyond 7 to 10 days, but looking like perhaps 1, maybe 2 waves of colder air coming back into the prairie as we head into the 5 to 10 day time frame. We can look at that with the temperature anomaly forecast again from the European model, looking at milder conditions across the prairie right now, just subtly mild. Heading into Thursday, bringing it back to seasonally appropriate levels. Here we see this wave of cold air come in over the weekend, setting up over the northern plains into especially eastern portions of the prairie. To be honest, Alberta, you kind of come out of it pretty quickly as we get into early next week with another round of warmer temperatures, but then it's possible as we head into mid to late next week, the December 12th, 13th, 14th time frame, perhaps another wave of cooler air coming in. I wanted to take a look at the national blended model here, the temperature forecast for a few cities here. Let me know in the comments if you prefer something like this versus looking at the big maps, but I wanted to kind of show the temperature trends. This is a nice way to visualize that as we watch this next wave of air come in. Next wave of cold air come in. So we're looking at the temperature forecast over the next 10 days for Edmonton, and so we see a high temperature today right around -1 down to -4 for Thursday and Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday that next wave of colder air comes in, dropping high temperatures into the -9, -10 threshold with overnight lows between -15 and -20. In Calgary, very similar story. High temperatures near freezing over the next 4 or 5 days. It's always as we get into Sunday and Monday, we get some of that cooler air in, but not even quite so bad as it was in Edmonton. So again, the cooler temperatures here are going to be found more to the north and to the east. As we just flip it over, looking at Regina here in Saskatchewan, again, near stable temperatures here over the next 4 days. It's as we get into Sunday and Monday, this is where we see that next wave of colder air come in. High temperatures between -10 and -15. Overnight lows right around -20. As we then flip it over, looking at Saskatoon, same thing. Cold air arrives Sunday through Wednesday. Nearly stable temperatures with highs in the lower single digits below zero, between -2 and -6. As we look at Winnipeg then, even stronger cold push here. Again, moving off to the east, the cold wave gets a bit stronger. So those overnight lows in the -20 to -25 range, with high temperatures perhaps near -20 Monday through Wednesday of next week. So this is something we'll be watching closely again. The bigger story, I guess, would be that wave of cold air coming in as we get into early next week. Total accumulated liquid precipitation, a lot of big words there that I'm stumbling over, as we just take it through Sunday, so looking at through the weekend, through the next 5 days. Again, the heaviest precipitation going to be found in higher elevation areas getting into west central Alberta. That's where liquid equivalent here could be 50 to 70 millimeters of precipitation, trailing off to around 3 to 5 millimeters of precipitation as you get into further into the south and eastern portions of Alberta. Same thing when we look at the snow. The highest snow accumulation to be found in the higher elevation areas. You see that wave come in here as we get into Sunday and then into Monday, delivering that potential round of 5 centimeters of snow or less across southern Alberta. Taking it off to the east, looking at Saskatchewan and Manitoba, we see the same thing, that last wave of precipitation coming in here, delivering about 5 to 10 millimeters of liquid precipitation and around 5 centimeters or less of snow accumulation as we get into Sunday. And then, of course, we do have that narrow band making its way through generally the Highway 16 corridor. That was a bit north there with my drawing, delivering some snow, a narrow band of snow over the next 24 to 48 hours. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the evolution of the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Thursday morning ag forecast video that'll be posted tomorrow, and I will be back to talk about the Canadian Prairie on Friday. Have a great day.